So yeah, there are many things that we have not studied because of a lack of funding. I believe a lot of studies could have been conducted because of a biblical worldview, but yet because it's not in line with evolutionary thinking, it's not getting funded. Especially in terms of anthropology and human evolution. Let me see if I can find what Stephen is referring to. Go through it once more.
You know the tree that shows everything right from the beginning, from the smallest organism up to the most diverse and to us and stuff. Even those simple organisms, if they were right down the track there, surely that also indicates millions of years back, and yet we can see them today and they haven't, in particular ones that we see today, haven't progressed whatsoever. They've just been at a standstill. That doesn't make any sense either. Yeah, that's very true. Although evolutionists will argue that they are modern creatures as well, just as all the other creatures. They just reckon they haven't shown much evolution since. Well, I agree with you. From a logical point of view, it doesn't make sense. And because of all the life forms, according to the theory of evolution, coming from a unicellular organism, we can go even further back than that, but we won't, because then it completely collapses, is the fact that that organism will have had to have had all the genetic information present in that one cell for all the diversity present on Earth, and that is completely contradictory of any genetic information can see today.
Yeah, principle, or yeah, it's just illogical to, if you really think about it, it's completely bogus.
Something that struck me before was when you said that the sex gene was carried by the female in the Kiwis. Is that correct? You said it's carried by the male in humans.
Yeah, because males in humans carry the Y chromosome, but not the females, but in birds it's the opposite way around.
Now surely even the whole concept of male-female, if you had an evolutionary view, must trace right back to the very very long way down the tree, because surely the whole concept of male-female wouldn't have been independently evolved multiple times. It would have to be like it could have been early on. So how could you have a situation where it had like reversed? That seemed quite a strong point really. I've never heard it before.
Yeah, that's true. And actually that information comes from Craig Miller of the University of Auckland, who is a staunch evolutionist. He could not explain it in 2008.
Can you explain it now?
I don't know.
Victor, I'm trying to ask you possibly the same question in a different way. The whale, for instance, and talking about it having lost its limbs and then grown fins, and that happened over a period of millions of years. How did that whale reproduce over those millions of years?
That's the problem in terms of the intermediary stages. If it hadn't had fully formed legs or fully formed fins, how could it have survived?
Be a beach whale.
And it would have to have a partner.
It is very illogical.
Just doesn't. You're not even at the starting blocks. You go right back to the beginning. At what point did that cell become a male and female? In order for and the fact that the male and female evolved parallel with each other all the way through the millennia to keep on reproducing.
Yeah. It is just bizarre. It is.
But yeah,
one should only think of 2 Corinthians 4, when you really think about this, that people are blinded by the God of this world.
Exactly it.
Because it's for intelligent people to think this way. Sorry,
There must have been a day when, in history, when, according to the evolution, when our common ancestor, part of the group, split away, and one went off there and developed into chimps, and probably didn't do so much developing from whatever the common ancestor was, because they keep portraying these things as looking a bit more like the chimp than us. And then we went and had this amazing transformation to become a way more intelligent form of life.
It's called makeover these days.
Well, they do it on TV, yeah. Extreme makeover. USA. And but let's say these two groups had come back to, or parts of them had rejoined only 100 years later or 1,000 years later. They presumably could have still bred with each other because they hadn't changed all that much. But there came a time when they carried on drifting so far apart that they could no longer even breed with each other.
Many theories around that.
Yeah, it's just, and then you've got this whole thing of, yes, it had to have been a male and female one evolving in the same way, and presumably not just one male and one female, but a whole gene pool, otherwise it would have corrupted as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk. It's actually quite interesting, to be honest. Did we come out of Africa or whatever? Well, we know it's probably, around about Europe somewhere. But because this topic is so intellectual and interesting and intriguing, people fall prey to it. There are a lot of contradictions in the theory of evolution. But all they say is, well, the evidence is there, we just need to fine-tune the detail.
Yeah.
And I still won't reject it.
Do you deal next time at all with carbon dating? Because I've never understood. Yeah. Okay. Well,
not in detail though.
No, because I've just always wondered what you say to someone who says, "Oh, but that's carbon dated 50 million years old."
Yeah.
And I mean, what is the?
Carbon dating, they can only work for up to about 5,000 years or so. Actually, there's a full life of about 12,000 years, and half of that is about 6,000 for carbon. 14, I think. But what they don't contend with is that the world before the flood was quite different from the world we have today in terms of cosmic rays hitting the earth, all sorts of other parameters that were not like we have it today. Yes, Stephen, sorry.
No, that's right. You're probably going to give me a simple answer on this one. But what is the difference between macroevolution and microevolution?
Well, microevolution is basically evolution up to species level, but one has to be careful because, and that's why scientists don't like to refer to it, because it's difficult to say these days what is a species. It's quite often a decision that a taxonomist has to make. Observed evolution, as we see varieties of different life forms form, that is considered speciation or variation. Excuse me. And that is considered microevolution. Macroevolution is something beyond species level. In other words, like I've shown, a land mammal of millions of years ago transformed into a modern or pre-modern whale.
So sorry, is micro within a species and macro outside of the species?
For macroevolution we don't have proof. But sometimes what happens, Professor Paul Rainey of the University of Auckland actually managed to create a new species of bacteria in his lab just by subjecting it, or a particular population, to different environmental pressures and factors. So he actually proved that speciation can occur, but the thing is with bacteria, the lifespans and the changes genetically, as you know, with our own immunity, it changes quite rapidly. But even given millions of years, and this is why evolutionists like the millions of years, because we don't have observation of that. We have fossils in the sedimentary layers of the earth, and these they just line up and assume that they have come from one another. It's something that I'll touch on next time. Stephen, maybe I haven't answered your question quite, but do you get the idea of macroevolution, microevolution and macroevolution?
Would microevolution be something like breeding differences within a species, like different, like breeding dogs, you know, comparing a bulldog with a schnauzer, and has microevolution taken place there?
Yeah.
So maybe tolerance to environment. If it's like harsh climate, that particular insect will maybe develop some sort of tolerance, you know, or so that's all in the microevolution.
Yeah, and I believe that's God's
that's actually God's
initiative for that organism to survive, but for it to become something completely different, even given millions of years.
Yeah. I think
it's just not
microevolution is very
genetically
observable.
possible.
Yeah, microevolution is really good.
There's like those Japanese monkeys that go into the ice cold water. They've adapted to be able to go into the freezing -something temperatures. So they would look like a monkey in the middle of Africa. You could see they're both monkeys, but they different.
Yeah, and even for humans, if you look at Icelanders, they're big, stout guys. And apparently, when they first, the people who first populated that island, they just died off if they weren't able to withstand that cold and all the environmental pressures that went along with that type of environment. So the Icelanders are quite big, sturdy men, and they're quite a unique, I don't want to call it a race, probably can call it a tribe or whatever, but a people nonetheless.
Yes, it's all
It's because of,
Well, look at how we've adapted to the New Zealand climate.
Is that the genetic?
Yeah, that's I think what Stephen was also referring to. You can see a lot of the similarity, and that's also what John said. They might use the same code for different websites. Doesn't mean that the one website evolved from the other. It's just simply that they're one company and they have a particular signature or style.
You probably find that Microsoft PowerPoint's 98% the same as Microsoft Word.
Yeah.
And yet they're quite different in how you use them.
So I think if God had not done that for us to discover, unfortunately we go the wrong way in terms of our mainstream thinking these days because of the theory of evolution. But had he not done that, people of old could have thought, not that they would have discovered this, but you know, we could have thought that instead of having this idea of us going from nothing, we could have had the idea, is there really one God, or are there many gods and they've made different things in this creation? So yet now it's clear, it's his signature. It's like looking at a collection of paintings of Van Gogh or whatever. He's got a particular style, and the same as God, he's got a particular way of...
What is that genetic code?
Good point. Yeah.
Or do you know what's that?